All right, I'm Mark Hughes from the Park Lane neighborhood of Park Heights. So I actually moved to Park Heights after college. I was 23, I had just gotten out of college. I had a job as a teacher at Lombard Middle School. And that was my introduction to the community, was really a place where I lived. I didn't do anything else. A few years after that, I was recruited to be a part of the community association, which was called Hilltop 4100 Community Association by the late Shawanda Smalls. And I went to the meeting and just had a specific gripe. And that kind of got me involved in neighborhood activities. So I got involved in my neighborhood association specifically with this gripe about a dog in the neighborhood, this loose dog. And so I was really coming to try to make sure that my girlfriend at the time could get into her car and go on to work without being worried about this dog chasing her. And when I got to the association, the problem was pretty much solved because the owner of the dog was there at the meeting. So she kind of said she'll take care of it. Other people had said they had that issue too. It then made me a little bit more comfortable to become more actively involved. And that was my intro to the neighborhood. And shortly after that, I became an officer in the association, and they picked me to be the president of the association. So at present, one of the things that I would like to see is I really want to see those who have bought homes or in the process of buying homes like myself to be able to benefit from the construction in the community, to be able to be informed. It's hard to get information about resources that could benefit you because they're given to like a small group of folks that are in neighborhood associations. And when I find out, I try to let as many people as I know. Because I believe our challenges, it's not that we don't have enough resources, it's that the resources that exist that are there for us are not communicated clearly to people in the community. And I think that could make things better. Also, I really would like to see more cohesiveness. I think that just as when I was 20-something years old going to a neighborhood association meeting, and I go to the meeting and nobody's within like 30 years of myself, it's hard to get your issues heard because you feel like everything is centered towards a certain age group, and I'm still at a point in time where I'm still the youngest when I go to some of my neighborhood association meetings. So that needs to change because I think that each generation has a different perspective, and they have resources and skills. And what happens is, if you work together, you can get a lot done. But a lot of times people have these divides. I'm not going to listen to this person because of whatever they are a renter. I'm not going to listen to this person because they're younger. And it keeps us from really growing and being a solid community. One of the things that I learned that really has helped me was that pretty much my first job one of my first jobs out of college was an outreach worker. And that was in the 1990s when there was like a network of outreach workers. And what I found is there's so much information, even the little bit that I knew from going to workshops, that people just don't know. And when you go to their homes and can provide the information, it could be something as simple as how to qualify for health insurance or how to get your children immunized. I mean, just basic stuff that people don't know. And a lot of times the resources and the answers are like within a block or two of them. So one of the things that I think that needs to happen is we need to get back to the days of doing door-to-door outreach. We also need to try to concentrate as many resources as we can at the schools, because I've found that the schools a lot of times are the melting pots in a neighborhood, because then you find, I know in Park Heights, there's a large Latino population that exists in terms of the parents at schools. And so you won't know where they live, but you see them after school. And so I think that when we concentrate those resources at schools, a lot of times we can kind of get more bang for our buck. So those are the two that I would say. And then the third would be through our religious institutions, because they still have a certain following in the community. And if we do that and we do it effectively, the community will get better, because you're sharing information that a lot of times people have to go across town to get. So one of the most important, for me, probably the greatest experience that I had is shortly after being part of neighborhood associations. I was hired to be a community organizer in Park Heights. And I worked with this group called the Ricerstown Park Heights Southern Team. And they still are, in my opinion, probably the epitome of what I believe a large, supportive umbrella organization should do in Park Heights. And what we did is there were various neighborhood presidents that would come together. We had connections with churches state's attorneys, and there were people like Oscar Cobbs, who was the leader. There were people like Thomas Ireland. And what I was finding is as I was doing my job and getting better at it, I was also learning from them. I mean, there were people like Polly Warren. I could just really go on and on. Just talking about William Peacock and people like that, Richard Arthur, folks who were strong folks in the community who really I just was impressed by because they made sure that their associations got respect. You couldn't just walk into the association meeting and just take over and commandeer the meeting and, remove the positive vibes that were happening in the meeting. Also, they shared history. So I was able to kind of get the history leading up to the time when I had gotten there, right? Because the whole idea is you don't want to make it seem like everything starts with you. So people would share stories, right? And so some of what they shared would kind of change the direction of what I was doing. And then I gained enough trust from them that there were times when there were things that they were doing, like there was a golf project slated for a part of the community. And I was able to share with them, the neighborhood doesn't support this project. They support the youth football that takes place in this area. You really should change what you're trying to do, drop the golf project, and support the Park Heights Saints football team. And so, they were able to, I was able to gain their respect, and I was able to really get a clear understanding of what are the things that you need to do and how to make sure that whatever you do, that there has to be an order. And I credit people like Thomas Ireland for that. He always felt like there was order. You need to follow Robert's Rules of Order. And he would say sometimes, you're out of order. And, person may be going on, they may be passionate about what they had to say, but he felt like things needed to be done in a certain way. And I really, really respect him for that. Just gained a lot of respect. We had been hearing about an effort to make the community better. Folks had shared with me that they had heard about plans forever. They had heard about urban renewal and just everything going forward, and they felt like nothing ever really came out of it significant for the community. But the city had said, no, we really are going to put this effort together. And so they started having a series of meetings, what they call charrettes, and would get people's opinions, document that, and start to tie those to resources that could be put into the community. And eventually this all came to be known as the Park Heights Master Plan, which is still ongoing. And the people's participation was strong. Folks would come, offer their opinions of what needed to be done, pick amongst ideas that were kind of bubbling to the surface. And I think that there was a lot of excitement. And there's still a lot of interest right now. The challenge from that was that they identified an area that was going to be the redevelopment area, and what that literally meant was that people would be removed from the community. And that was probably, and still is, to be honest with you, a sore spot for me, because I felt like there were some really strong people who had been in the community for a while. It wasn't all the area wasn't vacant. Some of those were actually houses that people owned, and those people are gone. And so that's been a sore spot for me, because some of the leaders that were active in the community, I felt like should have been able to benefit from the changes that were coming. But nonetheless, I've already started to see, the community looks very different now, and we're hoping that as time goes by, there can be more done. I also want to credit I Can, We Can and Managing Opportunity, an organization which put together what was called the Park Heights Human Service Plan, which was designed to tie in to the master plan, but do something that I felt like was needed and still needed, which is build up the skill set of people in the community, whether it be labor, whether it be education, so that people in the community could actually rise to a standard where they could qualify for jobs that were coming and be able to remain in the community, because we knew that the property values and the cost of living was going to go up as it has. So that's something that I think that is a model. I really do think that's a model in terms of making changes, bringing about the changes in the community, but at the same time trying to lift the people that are there. All right. So Park Heights is very diverse. It has history on top of history, what I call layers of civilization. So once predominantly Jewish, evolving to a predominantly black community almost exclusively, and now actually starting to accept and include more Latinos as time goes by. One of the best forms of collaboration that I have seen was the Citizens on Patrol program. And so in the Jewish community, it was through Shamrim, and in Park Heights, It was through Woodmere Association. And so I wasn't one of the people who was involved in getting it started. I actually learned from the men who were riding with Woodmere, and they said they had gotten training through the gentleman from Shamrim, and that their patrol was pretty much modeled after that. What was great about the Woodmere Citizens on Patrol is that it patrolled through 3 different neighborhoods. And for me, I was representing my neighborhood, but it was an opportunity to really get to collaborate with the police. And you really saw how challenging what they were doing was. At the same time, I was able to bring the information that I got back to my association, and I could kind of put more heat on. In our case, we had a liquor store that was harboring a lot of the gentlemen. And what would happen is we would call the police patrol car that was riding with us and say, hey, we noticed a guy hanging out in front of the liquor store. He's on this particular block. He's wearing this outfit. The police officer shows up and he runs back inside the liquor store. And it was constant, like this cat and mouse game. And we were able to eventually put heat on the liquor store to say, you guys are actually harboring folks that are causing harm to our community. So you got to do something about this. And also, while all of that was going on, it kind of builds up your sense of pride because you feel like, okay, as a man, you're actually doing what's necessary to protect your community. So I really, really got a lot out of that riding on the patrol twice a week.